Hey guys, Ken Ortega here with HPP Training, coming to you from my shop. Just wanted to do a quick video and just do a check-in, really, see how you guys are doing. Hope you guys are feeling, safe and healthy and all that good stuff with everything that's been going on in the last few weeks. It's been pretty crazy. Been spending a lot more time at home, obviously, organizing the garage, the shop, the office, and all of that. So one of the things I find to be unhealthy these days is just like staying glued to the news. Man, that's like doom and gloom right there. So one of the things I like to do instead of watching the news is, doing something productive. One of the things I do is I'll come in and do a little bit of reloading. This is a little bit more productive for me. And, it really clears my mind, gives me a little peace of mind and quiet, Maggie and I really enjoy reloading ammunition. It's funny because I've been reloading ammunition for about 14 years. And it seems like whenever there's an ammunition drought, I seem to get more and more motivated. So with that said, I've been firing up the presses here. I've gathered all the components. I've had all that stuff stored for a while. It didn't make sense to reload because the prices of ammunition had been a lot less. It was really easy to get 1,000 rounds of 9mm ammunition. Whereas now it's really harder to get and prices are going up and all of that. It's making more and more sense to reload ammunition. So anyway, I wanted to give you a quick overview, show you the presses and my equipment and all of that. Again, I've been doing this for about 14 years on and off. And one of the things that, I don't have a ton of time. So what I do is, if I have an hour of my time, I could come and use a press like this one. And this one really will save me a lot of time. I can really load a lot of ammunition quickly with a progressive press like this setup here. Now this is the Dillon 650 progressive press, and I'm going to talk about this one second. First I wanted to talk to you about this first press here, so bear with me as I change the camera here. This is my first press that I started on. This is a RCBS, what they call a rock chucker. So this is literally just a single stage press, meaning I put one die in and I'm really just creating one function at a time. This one happens to be a seating die for a rifle cartridge. So I still use this press. I still use all of this equipment right here. I mainly use it for all of my rifle cartridges, my center fire, precision rifle, bolt action rifles, and all of that. So I just tend to shoot a lot of those rounds a lot less. So in other words, I'm not shooting thousands and thousands of rounds of this stuff, probably hundreds, So anyway, this is a really great press to get started with. If you're considering getting started with, reloading, I would recommend a press like this one. It's called RCBS, known as the rock chucker. So you pull the handle and run the ram up. And again, you're just, doing one stage at a time here. This is my powder measurer. Again, this is the same thing. You put your cartridge down here. You roll the handle up, roll the handle down, and you're dropping just the amount of powder that you need. High power rifles like this, you're talking about a lot of energy. And what ends up happening is this case really expands. Because this casing really expands after it's been fired, you typically have to trim them down, and that's what this is right here. And this is really what I use for 308, 300 Win Mag, 7mm Magnum, 7mm 08, and all of that. So those rifle cartridges I will load still in a rock chucker. Here I have a bullet puller. If you've never seen one of these are pretty cool. And over the last few days, I've only had to use this one time, which is really great. But basically you put your bullet right in there and you strike it on the ground quickly, and you pull, and the bullet comes out and the powder. So that's a single stage press. That's what I would recommend that you start on if you're just starting to reload ammunition. It's a decent investment, probably a few $100 with all the dies and all of that. Will get you rolling. Now, this is a progressive press. This is the Dillon 650. Kind of zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole thing, but the whole press is all of that right there. So this is a much more complicated and a much more complex system. Obviously you have the opportunity to do multiple things on this press here with just one pull of the handle. So here is your handle right here. When you pull the handle back all the way down, you're going to run the ram all the way up. and you see that there are multiple stages or stations here. Let's start out with this station right here. This station is really where the casing, your brass casing, starts from right here inside this big hopper, and it's basically a feeder that feeds all your cleaned brass. You just turn it on and it starts to rotate, and it starts to drop those cases in the tube. And notice that the way it's dropping them in is like orienting the cases, head stamp is down. So they're already oriented in the way that they need to be oriented. Once that tube is full, then that'll automatically stop all on its own. So you just kind of let it do its thing. Now this thing continues to run until it needs more, and this little trip lever right here tells it when it needs more. So this entire tube right here is already filled with brass. This very first station has this die right here. Okay, so this die is going to size, and it's also going to deprime or decap that casing. And what that looks like is, I have a casing right here. Basically, this is what it looks like. So you basically take the primer out of the brass casing, and you guys can see through that flash hole right there. That's the center of the casing. So that's literally just the backside or the head stamp of the casing. So that's what that whole first station will do. Plus, it'll resize that opening to receive the bullet. Now the next station will actually seat the primer. So the cool thing, it actually does a couple of things. It seats a primer, plus it dumps the powder. Now I'm going to start out with just the primer. So this little tube right here, this black tube, holds all my primers. And once it gets a little bit low, I have an alarm that tells me that it's running low on primers. So I have this really cool tool right here. It's an automatic or an auto primer filler, and you basically dump all the primers in this hopper right here. You turn it on and it vibrates, and all the primers are oriented so they're facing up, and it fills up this tube right here. So once this tube is filled, I take this tube and I just will refill this whole black tube right here with primers. So it's kind of a time saver. This tool all by itself really makes a huge difference. So I'm really enjoying this. And it holds about 120 primers altogether. So it does enough for what I need it to do. Again, looking at this station here is going to seat a brand new primer. And I'll show you that this one here has a brand new primer in it. And it's also going to dump the powder charge. So you guys see this nipple right here. This nipple goes up to my powder measure. So this is my powder measure. Right now I have this measurement right here, and it just drops the exact amount of powder that you need. Right now I'm using 4.2 grains of tight group, and so every time I pull that handle, you know, it's going to run that ram up. It's going to refill the casing. You can actually see I have a couple casings in there that I just filled. Now this station is open. This station currently doesn't do anything. You see I don't have a die in here. I have the opportunity to put a couple of different things here. I could put an alarm to tell me if the powder is low or high, or I can do a automatic bullet feeder on this one here. Now currently my bullet feeding station is literally just this plate of bullets. So I put all my bullets here. This is just the bullet, right? These are TMJ 9mm 115 grain bullets. So I just have a whole bunch of them here. I have boxes of them. I just buy the bullets all by themselves. I even got some cowboy lead bullets there. Rifle bullets, I have a number of types of bullets there. So this station doesn't really do anything at this time. And I've grown confident in my powder measure here that every time I measured it, it's always been at 4.2. So, you know, I'm really confident it just does it all the time. And after measuring hundreds of these, I've kind of got to know what this looks like. Okay, so this die on the station is to seat the bullet. So I literally would take the bullet and just place it just like that on top of the casing that is loaded with the powder and a primer. Once I ram the ram up, it's going to seat the bullet. Now once it goes back down and rotates into this last station, this die right here is a crimping die. So it's going to give a slight crimp right here, just around that neck, and then that's it. Now you guys see that little steel rod right here? After this station is complete, it's just gonna, that little steel rod's gonna push it through that chute. And you can actually see that I already have some finished product right here. So anyway, that's pretty much the way that that works. It's a pretty, it's an awesome system. It really is. You have to really spend a lot more time understanding, you know, reloading to, in my opinion, to get to this point where you're using something more complicated or complex like this one. One thing that I like to add is I have different tool heads. So all you have to do is take these little pins out and the whole tool head slides out. Okay, so I don't have to change dies for different calibers. I literally just change the tool head. I have a different tool head right here. This one's for 45, then I have another one back here for 223. So anyway, I could just change out the entire tool head, and once I put that tool head back in place, I just put those pins back in place, and I'm good to go. Now, one thing I did add to this press is I added the lights. So those lights I did myself. I just found a really cool product specifically made for these reloaders, and it's got like a split power wire here, and it's a different light for just the top of the press itself. So it's actually really bright, and I really enjoy it a lot. I installed it, I wired it myself, and basically when I turn it off it looks like that, but man, turning it on, and that light really makes a huge difference. So I really enjoy that light. I can really see it just a lot better. So anyway, that's pretty much my whole setup there. You guys see that I already have this, all these stations already all set up. So it's literally just about, you know, giving it a good pull. And now when I push the handle back, one of the things I'm doing is I'm seating the primer. That new primer just went to that station number 2. Now I'm sitting that bullet, and I pull the handle down, and bam, I just did it again. So every time I pull this handle back and forward, I'm doing a whole different operation. So, and just like that, I'm reloading ammunition. Every time I pull and push the handle, I'm chunking out a new cartridge. And so I'm really just keeping an eye on everything. And I have to tell you that a lot of this is also feel. The way that it feels, like I just felt when I pushed that handle, I know what that feels like for that primer to go in its place. And I also know that the entire stroke of the ram all the way down, you know, gets me to that position. Like right now I just felt it being a little tight. So that means I'm having a little bit of an issue with this primer. As you can see, this primer didn't go in all the way. I actually felt that when that happened. So it's just a couple of different things. Now some of these casings are a little bit more difficult than others. There we go. So I just seated that in, and perfect. Now that's all back in place. So now I could just put that back in place and continue the whole process. Anyway, it's a lot of fun to reload. It's allowed me a lot more opportunity to shoot. Every handle pull gives me a trigger press. So that kind of works out really well. Anyway, you know, living in Henderson, Nevada, these are literally the only handles I like to pull right here. So hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are being safe. You guys are doing something productive, staying away from the news and all of that. I mean, you have to keep tuned into what's going on. I get that. But man, the whole doom and gloom, everything is, there's other things to do other than just stay glued to the TV. So hope you guys are doing great. Be safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you guys next time.